Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my students? I hope that you're happy and healthy, and I hope that you are excited for the beginning of this semester with the beginning of our curriculum. In our first unit, let's say, it's the intro. And of course, we'll be taking the listen and discuss lesson. But before we begin the intro, let's see our unit goals. Here we have the sections of the unit. We have the vocabulary, functions, grammar, listening, and the pronunciation. You can see here the vocabulary will be focusing on e-book, if you know what e-book is, and ecotourism, buildings, cable television, working routine, and climate change. On the function, we see expressing opinions, feelings, and preferences, and agreeing. And you will see all of these throughout the unit. First, let's begin the listen and discuss. But before we do that, I have a few questions for you just to warm up before we begin the lesson. Do you watch television? Do you watch television? Of course we all do. We all watch television. What kind of shows do you watch? Do you watch sport shows, documentaries, movies, TV series, etc.? The third question, what do you know about ecotourism? What do you know about ecotourism? Of course, you know the word tourism. It means traveling and seeing sights. And the word eco is about the environment. So when you put it together, it means the ecotourism. It means touring through, seeing sights regarding to the environment. The next question is, do you prefer to read paper books or e-books? This is a large debate. Do you prefer reading, if you want to study or read an article, do you prefer reading through e-books like tablets, or do you prefer paper, the old paper that we all used to? So this is according to your preference. Next question, name some of the tallest buildings in your country. Name some of the tallest buildings in your country. Of course, here in Saudi Arabia, we have many tall buildings. You can name some of them. Do you follow a set of routine every day? Do you have a daily routine, something that you do every day? This is an important question. And the last one is, what do you know about climate change? Of course, this is a large issue now, the climate change. So what do you know about it? So here we have 5 or 6 pictures. The first one, as you see, yes, this is an e-book, electronic book. E is regarding electronic, which is reading the articles on the screen. Here we have, of course, you know what this is. Yes, this is a laptop. Now it's used to, instead of the TV, you watch streaming movies or documentaries, or maybe you're watching sport events through this laptop instead of the cable television. Here you can see you have an old man having a headache. Maybe he is tired of the same routine every day. And the next picture, you see the famous building of the clock tower in Mecca. Next, here we see the desert. This is here is about, of course, yes, that's correct, about ecotourism. And here we see a disaster happened here, maybe a flood, maybe a hurricane. So we will be discussing this later. So the first here, it says here, read the text below and match each one with the correct heading. Here we have 6 headings: technology, unusual buildings, ecotourism, TV around the world, working days, going green. So we will match each picture and article with the correct heading. So let's listen to the first article.
Paper versus e-book debate, which has been going on for several years, doesn't seem to serve any real purpose. Digital has become an integral part of life, so much so that we fail to notice it. Hard copies, on the other hand, are still available. But for how long?
Yes, that's correct. Here he's talking the debate between e-books and paper books. Do you like hard copies, or do you prefer using the paper books? Of course, now they call it the digital era, where everything is going digital, including reading books, newspapers, articles, etc. So for how long? How long will the hard copies or the papers last for? Is it the end for them? We don't know. So this is, of course, he is talking about the technology. E-books is connected to technology. Next here we have, yes, the picture of the desert. This is the eco-tourism. Touring, seeing the, eco-tourism, seeing the desert here like we have here in Saudi Arabia. So let's listen and connect it with one of the headings here. Let's listen now.
Ecotourism allows travelers to observe and experience life and culture in a natural and often undisturbed location that lends itself to activities like hiking, climbing, rafting, etc. This type of tourism often provides funds for conservation and contributes to the development of the local economy. Would you be interested in this type of travel?
So as the article says here, ecotourism is going touring in natural places where you can go mountain climbing, hiking, or as we have here, going to the desert and having a relaxing time. Do you prefer this kind of tourism, or do you prefer the city tourism where there are buildings and cars and noise? Of course, for me, I prefer the quiet place, the natural places, and I can enjoy myself in the nature. So this is me. What about you? So this is, of course, the eco-tourism. Moving on to the next picture, the clock tower in Mecca. Of course, this is maybe the most famous tower in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So let's listen to the article now.
The Mecca Clock Royal Tower is among the top tallest buildings in the world. The clock face is large enough to be seen from 25 kilometers away. Have you seen it?
So, have you seen it? For me, yes, of course, I have seen it many times. So the clock tower, the Clock Royal Tower, is among the top tallest buildings in the world. The clock face is large enough to be seen from 25 kilometers away. So this tells you how big and how large and how high the tower is. So what heading is this article connected to here? Yes, that's correct. Unusual buildings. Of course, this is a very unique building, a very unusual building, the clock tower in Mecca. Next, here the laptop, it's talking about cable television, which is becoming an ancient history now. Of course, we all depending now on streaming services, though this article is talking about that. Let's listen for now.
Cable television is gradually being replaced by the internet. Recent research indicates that a substantial number of cable subscribers in the late 20s to mid-30s are planning to discontinue their cable TV subscriptions. On-demand viewing appeals a lot more to people who want to watch a show of their choice at a time that suits them best. What is your view?
So the article indicates that many people, especially in their 20s and 30s, are switching from cable television to the streaming services, mainly because they want to watch their shows at their preferred time. For example, if you want to watch a movie or a documentary, when you're cable television, you have to watch it at the exact time that they show it, maybe 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. But if you watch it through the streaming services, you can watch it whenever you want. You can prepare your meal and then you start watching it. That's why it's called on demand. On demand, it means that you demand to see it now. That's why many people switching from cable television to the on-demand viewing services. So this is, of course, TV around the world, maybe the TV. Of course, now we have smart televisions. The TVs themselves are becoming slower, like laptops. They have their streaming services now, the applications, because they want to catch up with the laptops. So next here, it's unusual for working people to complain about having to follow the same routine. So this man here is having a headache. He got bored from the same routine day in and day out. Let's listen to the article and see what it's talking about.
It is not unusual for working people to complain about having to follow the same routine day in and day out. Come retirement time, however, a great number of them feel lost and suffer physically and psychologically through the absence of the same routine. Why do you think this happens?
Why do you think this happens? This is a very interesting article. It says that many people complain when they're going to school or going to their job. When they retire, when they were working, they were complaining about the same routine, going to work and then coming back in the afternoon. But once they retire, they think they will be happy. No, they suffer from headache. They suffer psychologically and physically, maybe from missing the routine, let's say. So, however, a great number of them feel lost. They feel lost and suffer physically and psychologically through the absence of the same routine. The same routine which they were complaining about. So this is a very interesting article. So what's the fitting heading here? What heading here fits this article? Yes, that's correct. Very good job. Working days. So do you think that when you retire, you will be missing your working days? It differs from person to person. So the last article here, the last article, you can see the picture is a picture of a disaster, maybe a hurricane, maybe a typhoon, we don't know. So it's talking about climate change. Let's listen to the article.
Climate change has been a critical issue in recent years due to its destructive consequences caused by natural disasters such as storms, hurricanes, flooding, and landslides. Deciding to go green has presented a dilemma for countries which have to choose between immediate economic growth and greener policies. This has delayed timely action and prevented the implementation of green measures that can contribute to the reduction of carbon emissions. What is your view?
So this article is talking about climate change and what does it do to some countries, the destructive consequences that it caused, and natural disasters like storms, hurricanes, flooding, landslides, and like we saw recently, tsunamis, how they destroy countries. That's why some of these countries decided to go green, to the green power, clean power, but that's economically not. Sometimes it's not good for them. That's why it's called a dilemma. It means a problem that you don't know what's the correct answer for it. So what is your view? What should these countries do? So of course here it's talking about the approach of going green, So read through each text and highlight any new information you find. So we will read them again, and I want you to highlight any new information to you, of course, regarding the information itself, or maybe some new words to you. I want you to highlight them. So let's listen again.
Paper versus ebook debate, which has been going on for several years, doesn't seem to serve any real purpose. Digital has become an integral part of life, so much so that we fail to notice it. Hard copies, on the other hand, are still available, but for how long?
So this is the first article about ebooks. Let's go to the second article about ecotourism. So we listened to the ecotourism article. The last question is, would you be interested in this type of travel? Would you be interested in this type of tourism, going to natural places, doing activities in nature? Or do you prefer going to big, large cities? Or do you want to mix them? Of course, sometimes or usually when you go to ecotourism, it's in small villages. So this is according to your preference. The next article is the article regarding the Mecca Tower, the Mecca Clock Tower. Let's listen again.
The Mecca Clock Royal Tower is among the top tallest buildings in the world. The clock face is large enough to be seen from 25 kilometers away. Have you seen it?
Have you seen it? Yes, of course. Hopefully we've all seen it. And don't forget to highlight any new word to you or any information. The next article is the cable television article. So let's listen.
Cable television is gradually being replaced by the internet. Recent research indicates that a substantial number of cable subscribers in the late 20s to mid 30s are planning to discontinue their cable TV subscriptions. On-demand viewing appeals a lot more to people who want to watch a show of their choice at a time that suits them best. What is your view?
What is your views? So here he's saying that cable television subscribers are discontinuing. The word discontinue is the opposite of continue. Continue, discontinue. Are planning to discontinue their cable TV subscriptions. Why? Because of the existence of the on-demand viewing. Of course, we know many applications for on-demand and streaming services. So what is your view? I want you to tell me your view. So moving on to the next article, let's listen to it.
It is not unusual for working people to complain about having to follow the same routine day in and day out. Come retirement time, however, a great number of them feel lost and suffer physically and psychologically through the absence of the same routine. Why do you think this happens?
Yes, as I said, this is a very interesting article and a very interesting question. Why do you think this happens? You're complaining about something for maybe 10 or 20 years, and once this thing is gone, now you feel empty, you feel bored, you get bored, you suffer physically and psychologically. Are you missing the routine or what? So this is a very interesting psychological question. So why do you think this happens? Why do you think this man complaining from the same routine for 20 years is now missing it? So try to answer this question. Why does he feel lost after retirement? So you have to answer this question, and don't forget to highlight any new information and any new words that you don't know. So the Going Green article, let's listen to it.
Climate change has been a critical issue in recent years due to its destructive consequences caused by natural disasters such as storms, hurricanes, flooding, and landslides. Deciding to go green has presented a dilemma for countries which have to choose between immediate economic growth and greener policies. This has delayed timely action and prevented the implementation of green measures that can contribute to the reduction of carbon emissions. What is your view?
So this is a very huge issue, the climate change, and what does it do to poor countries, and the destructive consequences caused by natural disasters like tsunamis, earthquakes, and so. So this is a very large view. What is your view about this matter? Here's the new word meanings. I know you've highlighted some words, and I will be giving you some new words, like the word debate. What does it mean? It means a discussion between people in which they express different opinions on an issue or a subject. Like when you debate your friend, you're giving your opinion, he is giving his opinion, and you debate to prove which one of you is telling the correct opinion. This is a debate. The next one, an integral part of life. It means a very important and necessary, or you can say it's essential, basic. The third one, a location that lends itself to activities. Lend itself, that is good. Lends itself, it means good or suitable for. It's good for something or suitable for this matter. The next one is funds, available money. Funds, it means money. Next one is conservation. Conservation, it means that protection of animals, plants, and natural resources. Conservation, it's regarding the environment, of course, and nature, the protection of animals, plants, and natural resources. Next is cable television. As I told you before, a system in which television signals are sent through cables rather than through the air. This is cable television, from the name itself, using cables, cable television. Discontinue, as I told you before, is the opposite of the word continue. It means end or stop. Continue or stop. The next one is subscription. When you subscribe for something, subscription, an agreement with a company or organization to get a publication or service regularly, and that you usually pay for in advance. Of course, you don't always pay, but sometimes you have to pay and sometimes it's for free. But you know what the word subscription mean. On-demand viewing, available when needed or wanted, like the streaming services. On demand, it means whenever I need it, whenever I want it, it's there in the click of a button. Retirement, the act of ending your working or professional career, the period after ending your career. It means when you work for 20 or 30 years, you come to retirement, the ending of your working days. Timely, happening at the correct or most useful time. Preventing the implementation means stop the use or practice or stop putting into action. It means to stop doing the action itself. Find these words in the text. So I want you to read these words and try to find them in the text. Expressing opinion, feeling, preference, agreeing, and disagreeing. So through the text you learned new words, expressing your opinion, feeling, preference, agreeing, and disagreeing. This is a debate, agreeing and disagreeing. So this is a question when you want to express your, when you want to ask for opinion. What do you think of? When someone asks you, what do you think of? It means that they want your opinion. You can say, I think it's interesting. I think it's an amazing achievement. The second question, what's your view on? What's your view on? Again, asking for opinion. You can say, I'm not sure. I can see why, but I can't see eye to eye with. Don't you think it's an interesting, original? No, it's not really. So this is how you can give your opinion, agreeing or disagreeing. When you say I can't see eye to eye, it means you don't agree with the subject. We're on the same page here. When you say to someone, we're on the same page, it means that I agree with your opinion. We are on the same page. It means that I understand you. When you say we're on the same page. I see your point, but when you say to someone, I see your point, but it means that I understand what you are saying, but I have another opinion. I see your point, but I have no doubt that your view is valid, but I personally feel that. You say these sentences when you understand what the other person is saying, but you have another view. Sometimes it's the opposite view. You say, I have no doubt that your view is valid, that it's correct, but I personally feel, and then you give your opinion. I admire people who, but I can't see myself doing it. You admire people, but you can't see yourself doing what they do. So this is a contradicted, sometimes contradictions happen in opinions. Which would you choose? Which would you choose? So he's asking for your preference now. Which would you choose? You say, I prefer. You can say, I prefer red, white, etc. Or you say, I think I'd opt for. Opt for means choose from the word option. I think I'd opt for. Or you say, go for. Or you can say, go for conventional travel. So this is the box for expressing opinions, feelings, preferences, and agreeing and disagreeing with the opinions of your friend. So here you can see these articles. Have you seen it? This is the Mecca Tower. Have you seen it? He's asking a question. You can say, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. And here he's asking about your opinion. Why do you think this happens? For people when they retire, they feel lost, they suffer physically and psychologically. Why do you think this happens? You can say, I'm not sure. When you say, I'm not sure, it means that you're not 100% sure about your opinion, but you say it anyway. I'm not sure. I can see why they complain about it. They got bored. Maybe they got bored after retirement. This is the next article here, the cable television. What's your view? So he's asking for your view, your opinion. You can say, I'm not sure. I can see why people are still debating on the point. Everyone seems to be digital these days. That's correct. That's correct. Expressions, meanings. We're on the same page to express strong or total agreement. As I said before, when you say to someone, we're on the same page, it means that I understand you and I agree with you. I see your opinion, but I see your opinion. I understand what you're saying, but it means, don't you think it's worth considering different opinion? You give a different opinion, explaining that we use this expression to express tentative agreement or disagreement. It means I understand you, but I have to disagree with you or give a different opinion. Lastly, you say, I think I'd opt for cable television, for example, to express preference. It's like an option. Example, I would choose cable television. I'd opt for, I'd choose cable television. That's it for today. See you next lesson, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika, la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.